Not that I've never seen the animated X-Men series from the 90s, but if I was going to wish for an animated Marvel show that was unjustly cancelled to come back, the X-Men certainly wouldn't be my first choice. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and there aren't a lot of things I wouldn't do to get a third season of Spectacular Spider-Man. But X-Men 97 was still phenomenal to see. Don't get me wrong, like any other superhero team, I love the X-Men. And even if you include the Fox movies, I still think this animation might be the one true adaptation of these characters. So much time has passed that my mind had kind of accepted it was gone, and that's why it's so surreal to see this show. I think the best surprise for me wasn't just that they could bring this show back with an updated but still faithful animation style that sometimes had my jaw on the floor, it was that they were able to accurately depict every single one of these characters so well. It felt like these writers just never left. When it came down to it, there are a whole lot of people to keep track of, but by focusing on a few and molding the narrative around them, the show was able to keep track of everyone physically and emotionally, at least enough to keep the show from bloating. And for those who are someone's favorite, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Gambit, or even Jubilee, they're all given at least one moment to shine. And for those who don't know any of these characters and this is your introduction to them, I honestly don't know what to tell you other than what are you doing here? But I assume this show exposits all the necessary information to get you up to speed. And it does all that without it being obvious that that's what the show is doing. But the best thing the writers, voice actors, and animators do is commit to silly plot lines. Executed slightly worse, 90% of the narratives that occur would not work. But thanks to the tone and style set immediately in the first episode, X-Men 97 is seamlessly entertaining. Adapting some very well-known and some less well-known storylines and mixing and matching them with others, layering them in ways I didn't think possible, I shouldn't have been surprised that would be what this show did, considering that's what they did in the 90s. But that'll always be fun to see. Maybe some of the pacing is off and some of the events could have been shuffled around for cohesiveness, but that never really bothered me. So if you're a Marvel fan or just a fan of animation and superheroes, check out X-Men 97 because it is a must watch. If you haven't seen all 10 episodes, pause the video and go watch it because it's time to get into some spoilers. Ready? Okay. If I'm honest, I wasn't really getting into this show at first. The first episode started with a banger, explaining exactly why this show was something that deserved to be made, but after that, the immediate story of the X-Men trying to maintain peace, while every opposing force is trying to stop them, didn't invest me as much as I thought it would. Professor Magneto was cool to see, but that also only happened for a short time. For context, when a new show comes out, especially if it involves superheroes, I'm there minute one, no matter what it is. Recently for Loki, I was tuned in every week an hour after midnight because I wasn't about to miss out. Even if I had to work the next morning, which I often did, I either tried to take an early nap or just went about my day with a few hours less of sleep. But with X-Men, there wasn't anything keeping me gripped, needing to know more. And then, episode 5 came out. There's plenty of good narratives that come before then, but that's the moment where everything truly sets in. And just in case it wasn't clear that everything was about to hit the fan, before the Sentinel appears, the Watcher can be seen in the stars staring down with a sad look. I never believed they would kill Magneto, and they didn't, but Gambit's death was what glued my eyes to the screen for the rest of the show's runtime. Aside from that, the story about Jean and Madeline could have had more focus, but it was still really good to see as complex of a narrative. It's one of the many comic book plots that I thought wouldn't be possible to adapt, yet the show proves me wrong again and again. Side stories like Storm seem to be original creations for the show, but it could also be a comic book story. I don't know. I haven't read every X-Men comic. But while that was good when we were in it, the story was chopped up into a few different episodes, which made it just not work as well as it could have. Moving on to the villains, the whole Sentinel plotline leading up to the reveal of Bastion was incredible. Not knowing him very well, I appreciated a recognizable villain with Mr. Sinister being his lackey as well. But for as much as he is set up, he's really only there to back up the conflict between what Magneto believes and what the X-Men believe. Because after spending so long trying to depict a new status quo, the show still eventually gets back to the classic Professor X's X-Men versus Magneto storyline. But it takes its time to build that up organically, so by the time we get there in the final 2 episodes, it's epic. Plus, in the final episode, the audience was given the more action-oriented punch-up with Bastion. With that and the more contemplative intellectual dialogue between Eric and Charles, everyone wins. But before I wrap up, I want to talk about that cliffhanger. With how popular this show has become, we'll definitely be getting another season, right? I hope. Please? Genuinely, I was just glad Scott and Jean were together. There's been enough separating them in this show. But what did you think of X-Men 97? Leave a comment and let me know. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.